Hello, my name is Jenna Crane, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I've discovered is the secret to building a high-impact product marketing organization. So let's dig in. Let me move this over here. So as I mentioned, I'm Jenna. I'm currently the Director of Product Marketing at Klaviyo. I have been in B2B tech, SaaS, for more than a decade now. I actually started my career in journalism, then got the marketing bug, moved into content marketing. One of my first, real tech experiences was at Upwork, then Odesk, where I was doing content marketing. And then I moved over to Dropbox, where I transitioned to product marketing. You'll hear more about that in a second. And then I led marketing at an early stage healthcare tech startup, then helped build out the product marketing function at Drift, and currently leading the core product marketing team at Klaviyo. So if you haven't heard of Klaviyo yet, you should definitely check it out. We are a customer data and marketing automation platform that helps e-commerce entrepreneurs and marketers unlock the power of their data to drive more growth. So we do this by making it super, super easy to build beautiful, hyper-personalized, super relevant email and SMS campaigns and automations specifically for e-commerce. So I joined in late February, and there was one other person on the team at the time. I was told from the head of marketing that we could hire 2 more people this year. We're now 10, and we will be 13, hopefully, by the end of this year. Quick PSA, we are hiring PMMs and senior PMMs, so if you're interested in joining an amazing team, definitely check out klaviyo.com/careers. And we have this really broad mandate. We're essentially everything that you associate with traditional product marketing. Messaging and positioning, product launches, helping shape the roadmap, enabling our internal teams, competitive intelligence, go-to-market strategy and execution. We also do segment marketing, and we, of course, support the marketing functions like performance, brand, self-serve growth, our website team. So we sit alongside developer marketing, customer advocacy, and integrated campaigns to make up a broader product marketing team. We have been really lucky to be involved in what seems like every major project and initiative at Klaviyo, and we've been able to have a pretty huge impact. We've actually driven millions of dollars in recurring revenue this year alone from product launches. And I like to think that's not an accident, but and I will tell you how what I think is the path to getting there. But first I want to tell you a quick story. So as I mentioned, I started my product marketing career at Dropbox. I joined in 2014, and they had only hired their first marketer 7 months before that. As you all know, Dropbox is kind of the case study in viral growth, so they were growing plenty without a marketing team, and it wasn't until they were looking to launch a business plan that they thought, we should probably build a marketing team. So I joined in content marketing, which is what I was doing at the time. I ran our blogs and did some other content marketing projects. And the more I worked with the product marketing team, the more I fell in love with it. So I actually transitioned over to product marketing, which was still building out as well. So I was the first and only product marketer for a while for the free plan that had, 300 million users. Side note, I always thought it was insane that they were letting me market to 300 million people, but that's another story for another day. In my last year there, I was able to lead an amazing team of product marketers to launch and grow our second product line, Dropbox Paper. And that was where I really fell in love with full stack product marketing, because we were responsible for everything from driving awareness of this new product line to hitting acquisition targets to adoption and expansion. So when the time came to move on from Dropbox, I was moving from San Francisco back to Boston, where I'm from. I really was looking for another opportunity to build out product marketing because I loved doing that. So I landed at an early stage healthcare tech startup, and and brought my Dropbox playbook and was ready to rinse and repeat, and got a hard lesson in flexibility and adaptability. So I knew what great looked like. I knew all the ingredients for great product marketing. I'm not going to go through them over there. You all know them as well. But what I didn't know was how to prioritize among those and adapt my playbook based on what the business needed. A Series A startup is very different in its needs than, Dropbox was then a 2,000 person company. So I was doing the Dropbox playbook and it was kind of falling flat, and I really should have been asking questions like these ones here. Did we need to invest in running amazing launches, which is part of what I was doing, if we were still trying to establish product market fit? I should have been asking, which is more urgent for me to spend my time on right now, bringing in new customers or helping existing customers be successful? And then, more tactically, which assets can be good enough and which do I really need to spend the time and investment to make sure they're great? So fortunately, I was able to get a couple more tries at building out product marketing in my career, and I've since learned there is no one playbook for building out product marketing. You have a set of tools, and you have to determine which are the right tools to use and when, and in what order. So it really means you kind of have to build your own playbook each time based on your unique company and its stage of growth. For example, a sales-enabled motion is very different than a self-serve motion. A product-led company is going to look different than a sales or marketing-led company. The industry matters a lot. The vertical and the type of customer and how they buy, that all influences how you should be prioritizing your time. And of course, the stage of growth and the stage of maturity of the company. So that can seem a little intimidating. You have to build your own playbook each time from scratch. So what I want to take you through today is a guide to how to make that playbook. And it comes down to not the answers necessarily, which are, those ingredients that I showed earlier, but really the questions. You got to focus on asking the right questions. So what I'm going to show you next is my 4 sets of questions that I like to ask to shape the product marketing strategy and foundation. So step 1, you need to understand the lay of the land. First up, of course, foundational materials, which of them already exist, which are good enough, which do you need to spend time, right away to refresh. So if there's no messaging and positioning at all, that's likely where you want to spend some time. If it's outdated but, good enough, that's a totally different story. You also want to know, will you be able to hire for product marketing? So even if there's not dedicated headcount already set aside for it, is there openness to it, to potentially hiring? Is there potential budget, or is it out of the question? You are a solo one-man show for the foreseeable future. And then you also want to ask what kind of cross-functional resources are already in place. So data analytics, super important, creative and design, copy, content, which of those are in place, which would you maybe be able to bring on in-house, which should you focus on doing, getting externally, and which will you just have to be scrappy and do yourself. You also want to ask what the sentiment is around product marketing. Is there a good understanding of what product marketing does and the value it provides? I think most of us here know the answer is usually no, though that's changing as of late. But you want to look at the leadership team and your cross-functional partners, especially product and sales, and see, do they understand where product marketing should be brought in and the impact it can have. Then you also want to ask about the center of gravity in the org. Is it a product-led company? Is it a design or marketing or sales-led company? All of these things affect the dynamics and your stakeholder map, and you should pay attention to it. Next step, you want to look at the funnel. So how much traffic does your website get? That is a good proxy for awareness. It's not a one-to-one, but if you are getting no visitors to your website, you're likely going to want to prioritize building some awareness and getting that top of funnel traffic. Then how is that traffic converting to leads or MQLs if it's sales enabled, or free accounts if it's self-serve? And that can tell you if your site is working for you. Does it clearly explain what you do and why people should care? Also gives you an indication of whether the messaging on the site is resonating. Then you want to look at how those leads or accounts convert to paying customers. And this is a really important one. This tells you for both sales enabled and self-serve motions, it gives you an indication of product market fit and whether your pre-sale marketing is setting the right expectations. Specifically for sales enabled, if you're seeing the win rates are really low, that will tell you that you likely want to prioritize sales training and enablement and assets versus other parts of the business. And then for self-serve, it'll tell you how quickly and clearly free customers can see the value of your product. So that would lead to more time spent on the in-product experience or the onboarding experience. And then lastly, your net retention rate. So this is an indication of whether your product is delivering value. Do customers have a good understanding of how to use it? So again, this can speak to product market fit, but also, if this is pretty low, you're going to want to spend time on the in-product experience, the onboarding experience, and potentially on launches. Okay, the next set of questions is around, or next set of tactics is around onboarding yourself. So as we all know, relationships are currency for product marketing. So make your stakeholder map and start building those relationships. You should be spending a ton of your time with those key internal stakeholders. And what is often overlooked is you need to identify the people that can help you get up to speed really quickly on the product, on your customers, and the market landscape. So I was super lucky because that one person that I mentioned that was already in place happened to be a former Klaviyo customer and essentially our target buyer. And he was invaluable in getting me up to speed on the product and our customers and a day in their life. So that person might be on CS, that person might be on sales, or a combination of them, but really identify who can help you get up to speed quickly there. Then you want to look at the most important business goals. So is the company all in on revenue growth? And, is it growth at all costs? Is it only cost-effective, sustainable growth? Are you still focused on finding product market fit? Are retention rates the big focus? Or establishing market leadership? Getting that understanding of where the company is prioritizing, and also if there's alignment at the executive level about those priorities, that's a key input to your product marketing strategy. Of course, you want to talk to as many customers and ideally prospects as you can, but especially your most successful customers. Those are often your model for the types of customers you want to go after, how they're using the product, how they're describing the product. Those are all great insights that you can use to identify target audiences as well as messaging and positioning. And then, of course, where do you fit in the competitive landscape? So remember, your competitors are not just the other companies that would be in, a magic quadrant or something with you, but also inaction and workarounds like spreadsheets. Those are very common competitors. So is there an understanding of your highest priority competitive set and your differentiators when compared to those? Is that understood well internally and externally? That's a big area you want to look at. And then lastly, you want to find your baseline. So I have a 3-part assessment here that I'll show you. You can customize the dimensions that you want to look at, but you really want to be assessing where the company currently is on all these factors that you think are important. And to do that, you're going to want to talk to as many internal stakeholders and customers as you can, and of course review work that's already been done. So here's what that looked like at Klaviyo. I looked at strategy and positioning. Let me move this guy over here. So what segments of the market do we want to own, and what do our ideal customers look like? Do we have a good understanding of what value we can uniquely provide to those customers, and what we'll need to build over the next 5 years to really reinforce that value and win in this space? Do we have a good understanding of what our target audience needs and values and how they buy this type of technology? Of course, you want to look at how you're driving awareness all the way through to expansion among your target audiences, and how do you describe what you do and why it's better than everything else out there. So those key questions correspond to, of course, positioning exercises and messaging, ideal customer profiles, audience segmentation, competitive landscape mapping and a SWOT analysis, for customers, what they need and value and how they buy this type of technology, of course, personas and buyer journeys. You want to get a sense of how strong the integrated marketing strategy is for your key product lines and customer segments. Are you effectively driving awareness, acquisition, adoption, retention, expansion for those areas? And then, messaging frameworks again. Do you have solid messaging frameworks at the company level for each of your product lines and for each of your target customer segments? Then I looked at revenue growth. So core to being able to sell your product effectively is, are you telling a consistent and compelling story about the value you provide and your unique position in the market? Of course, that speaks to messaging frameworks and positioning. But website is a huge piece of that as well. Are your customer-facing teams armed with the right insights and assets to be able to be effective? That, of course, speaks to sales, CS, and partner enablement. And then you should look at your pricing and packaging. Is that structured appropriately? Are you leaving money on the table? Are you priced way too high and pricing out your target audience? So that could mean doing an analysis of pricing and packaging and potentially doing some experiments there. And then are you generating as much demand for your products as possible? So product launches are a key way of doing that. And of course, demand generation and content marketing initiatives, thought leadership, PR, etc. And then this last area I'm calling customer adoption, net retention, and word of mouth potential, because really customer adoption and net retention and NPS and all of those measures of customer happiness and success are all going to influence your word of mouth marketing. And there is no more effective, successful, cost-effective way of marketing than word of mouth. So here you want to look at, are you effectively driving awareness, acquisition, and adoption for your products and features? That, again, can speak to your product launch process and how you're doing demand generation and content marketing and PR, etc. Look at your onboarding experience. Is it meeting customers where they are and helping them get to where they want to go? This can mean an audit of the onboarding experience, both in product and out of product. And identifying the right onboarding related metrics to track and optimize, ideally, that are shared between the product team and the product marketing team. If you're getting a ton of customers that are signing up, but many of them are not making it through to this one point that you've identified as kind of the aha moment, where if they get to that point, they're going to be X times more likely to be long-term customers. That might be a big area of focus, is what are the in-product experiences and supporting out-of-product experiences you can use to get more people to that stage. And then where are customers dropping off in their journey, and how do you fix that? So, there's no use in filling the funnel and driving all these people through your sales team or the free account process if they're just going to fall out at the bottom and only stick around for, the length of their contract or a couple months if you don't have a contract. that if that is an area of if that's a red flag for you, then that's where you should be spending a good amount of your time as well. So now that you've asked all the right questions, you can now bring it together into what I think is your secret weapon, which is the Product Marketing Strategy Roadshow. Try saying that 3 times fast. So why do you want to do a Product Marketing Strategy Roadshow? And by that I mean a presentation that goes through your product marketing strategy and roadshowing that with the executive team and your key cross-functional partners like product, sales, CS, partner team if you have one. Why is that important? Well, I found that the more you can educate the company on what product marketing does and how, when, where it can add value, the more you will be brought in on important projects, and it's more likely that you'll be given headcount and resources. You really, I would say your first 30 days should be focused on meeting as many people as possible, onboarding yourself, and asking those questions. And then 30 to 60 days is really developing your point of view on the state of product marketing and the potential for product marketing, and putting together that presentation and roadshowing it with the team. That doesn't mean that you won't be able to, or that you'll be able to stop doing all of the urgent, day-to-day product marketing asks that come up, but I really encourage setting aside the time to do that strategic work, to do that assessment or audit or whatever you want to call it, and it's for these reasons. So that's the first one. Second one is the more you can set expectations around your priorities, and almost as important, what is not your priority in the next 12 months, as well as how much time these things take and in what order, the more likely you'll be given the time and space to be able to build that strong foundation and do it in the right way. And then lastly, this is often overlooked, but I think it's so important, by opening up a discussion around what you found in this assessment. So the exercise is not, here's the final word on how we're doing in product marketing and where our opportunities are. It's the start of a discussion. By opening up that discussion, you'll uncover even more valuable insights during that roadshow process. People will agree or disagree with your findings. They'll give you additional information you hadn't been able to uncover before, and that will continue to shape your product marketing strategy. So these are what I would recommend to be the key ingredients to your product marketing strategy, presentation, and roadshow. So an explanation of what product marketing is and the value it can provide. You'll want to do a charter and goals for your ideal product marketing organization. You'll want to show the results of that assessment that you did with all those great questions, and an example of what great looks like. So this can be really helpful because if you're just talking in abstract, especially using product marketing terminology that might not be widely understood, it's easy to just have that go over people's heads. But when you show examples of what this looks like in practice done really well, whether that's a website homepage or, a pitch deck or, a messaging framework even, though those are harder to come by, and you can even put it alongside your current assets at the company, that really brings it to life. And you can talk about, here's why this is great versus here's why this is falling flat. And then probably the most important is, once you've asked all of those questions and developed a point of view on where are the highest urgency and highest importance areas to spend your time, how does that translate into your highest priority initiatives and when you'll expect to deliver them, as well as that list of what you're not going to prioritize and why. The failure mode here is trying to do everything all at once, equally well. That never works. So develop a point of view on where you need to focus your time that's going to have the highest impact, and make that super clear, whether it's a timeline view or however you want to structure it. But that's going to be the bread and butter of this presentation. You'll also, of course, want to be talking about how you'll measure success. So the metrics you'll use, of course, those are different. If you're focusing on building awareness, those are different metrics than focusing on driving revenue or improving net retention rate. But make it clear that this is, how you'll be quantifying your success. What's also really helpful is an overview of how product marketing works with different teams in the organization. There's sometimes if people haven't worked with product marketing teams before, they don't have a good understanding of that. So it can be helpful to show in practice. This is how you would partner with product marketing. And when you're doing that roadshow and presenting to product, have it be a specific slide that talks about how product and product marketing work together. Same with sales, same with CS, etc. And then when you're talking to the executive team, this is your opportunity to ask for the resources you'll need to make this vision come to life. So propose an org structure and a point of view on how that will build out over time based on, your areas of highest priority. You may not get all of that. You likely won't. But if you can sell this vision, you'll be much more likely to get the resources you need. So now I want to show you just a few slides from the presentation I did at Klaviyo, just to give you an example of what this could look like. So this is our, what product marketing is and the value we can provide slide. I focused on, we're experts on our customers, products, and markets. We are marketing owners for the different product lines. We are integrators that sit at the intersection of pretty much every team at the company and work with each of them to break down silos and make the overall organization more strategic and more effective. And we're customer advocates. So we're not the only people that are responsible for the customer experience, but we make sure we partner with the other teams that are responsible for building and delivering customer experiences, that those are best in class. I talked about our goals as well. So for Klaviyo specifically, our goals for the product marketing organization were to become market leaders in our category. They were to hit our ambitious revenue targets and to build an engaged, happy, and successful customer base. And then for each of those, I went through, the key questions that I asked to develop a point of view on how we're doing on each of these and where the priorities were. So that this is an example of that assessment. You can do like a red, yellow, green kind of stoplight view. And that's a lot of times where the discussion focuses on those slides. This is that roadmap slide that I mentioned of the key initiatives. And then here's how we worked with other teams across the org. So at the top, you have the kind of key aspects that product marketing focuses on, and at the bottom, the different teams that we partner with and what the outcome of that collaboration often looks like. So my parting words here, remember, you are selling a vision of what product marketing can be and the impact it can have in an ideal world. This is your time to live in that ideal world and try and make that a reality. So wherever you land on that spectrum of ideal world or not, once you get internal alignment on those priorities and the resources you'll have, everything else gets much easier. Of course, it's never easy, but it is certainly easier, and it's a lot more fun because you get to work on the really meaty, high impact projects that every product marketer wants to work on. So that's all I have for you. If you have questions or thoughts or stories to share of doing this effectively or not effectively, I'd love to hear from you. Send me a note on LinkedIn at that link there. And thank you so much for your time.